Over the many years that Nintendo has been in business, they have racked up quite a catalog of characters. Some are more niche than others, and some were simply background characters who now are some of the most popular characters in the world. But there is one character, who dates back pretty far in the company's history. His game was a massive hit, yet he is rarely ever seen today. The character that I'm referring to is none other than Donkey Kong Jr. Before you click off this video, I'd like to say that I am well aware that there are many other Donkey Kong Jr. videos out there. All of them tend to be pretty good, but all of them also miss things that I will talk about in this video. And towards the end of the video, I will explain how Jr. fits into the Donkey Kong family tree, with what I would consider definitive proof, and not really something that I ever see people bring up. Hey guys, Naterz here, and I was first introduced to Donkey Kong Jr. while playing Super Mario Kart as a kid. As I've gotten older, I've started to really love the character. I have done tons of research on him, and I feel like there are points of his history that many don't even really know about. But maybe you yourself have never even heard of Donkey Kong Jr., so allow me to quickly explain who he is. Jr. first appeared in 1982. After the success of their previous big hit, Donkey Kong, Nintendo wanted to capitalize on the game's popularity. So the same team that made Donkey Kong created a second game, called Donkey Kong Jr. This time, Mario was the villain and he had captured Donkey Kong. So the player plays as Jr., who is trying to free his father. The game became a massive success. It received awards and was praised by most critics. The game was then ported onto many other systems. Soon, Jr. would begin to appear in other games, Donkey Kong Jr. for the Game & Watch, Donkey Kong 2, and even Donkey Kong Jr. Math. But he then would appear in a game that would become the fourth best-selling game on the Super Nintendo, none other than Super Mario Kart. People often talk about how odd the inclusion of Jr. is, but I think many fail to realize that Jr. was still around. The arcade game was still a hit, and although it likely had died down a lot, it wasn't like Jr. was a nobody. In fact, Donkey Kong Classics had just been released 4 years prior. Sadly, aside from Mario Kart Tour, this would be the last playable appearance in Mario Kart for Jr. So where did he go after his Mario Kart appearance? Well, he would go on to appear in the game called Donkey Kong for the Game Boy. This game extended the story of the original arcade game and is actually pretty fun. Jr. mostly is just a little mischievous guy who makes your life harder, but the downfall of Jr. was only a few months around the corner. See, around 1994, a company known as Rare made a boxing game demo and presented it to Nintendo. Nintendo was impressed and eventually bought 49% of the company, making it a second-party developer for Nintendo. After a while, Nintendo offered Rare the Nintendo catalog of characters, wanting Rare to make a new 3D CGI game. Rare asked for Donkey Kong and began development of Donkey Kong Country. But here is where the turning point in Jr.'s legacy is created. See, originally, Donkey Kong Country was meant to be named Donkey Kong and the Golden Bananas. Looking at the concept art of this game, we will see that Diddy Kong was never supposed to be Donkey Kong's sidekick. It was originally going to be Jr. Yet somehow along the way, Rare decided that they wanted to give Jr. a redesign. When they presented the redesign to Nintendo, Nintendo were not too pleased with it. So they told Rare that they had to keep Jr.'s old look or make the design a new, separate character. Thus, Diddy Kong was born. And this is also the game that starts the very confusing Donkey Kong family tree, which I will get into later. So, does Jr. fade out of existence after Donkey Kong Country? Well, no, not quite yet. He goes on to appear as a playable character in Mario's Tennis for the Virtual Boy. Many people talk about how odd of an inclusion he is in Super Mario Kart, but the roster for Mario's Tennis looks pretty similar as well. He then would appear in some Game & Watch Gallery games, and make his last playable appearance, aside from Mario Kart Tour, in 2000 for Mario Tennis. This would also be his first fully 3D appearance. Junior was supposed to be a playable character in Mario Kart Double Dash, but was replaced by Diddy. So Diddy really was the cause of Junior's downfall. However, this is where the majority of YouTubers stop. Diddy Kong basically became the new Junior and he has faded away in existence. But I think that it is still important to talk about the other non-video game appearances of Donkey Kong Jr. Junior has been animated a total of 6 times to my knowledge. So let's start at the very beginning. In 1983, CBS wanted to make some TV shows based on video game characters. So they came up with Saturday Supercade, a collection of shows featuring Donkey Kong, Frogger, Q*bert, Pitfall, and you guessed it, Donkey Kong Jr. The show had 13 episodes and consisted of Junior befriending a human named Bones. The two of them then searched for Junior's father. The only significance that the show really has to this video is that it adds a character to the family tree. See, in an episode called Gorilla Ghost, there is a character introduced as Uncle Julius, making him Cranky Kong's brother. Most people probably won't consider this canon, and that is probably because it isn't, but I like to include him in the family tree purely because it doesn't really mess anything up, it just adds more lore. The same can be said about the rest of the show. It doesn't mess with the canon of Junior other than the fact that there was a period of time where he was searching for his dad with a dude named Bones. I think that it adds more depth to his character, and I would like to think of it as canon myself. Hold on a second. Is this your first time watching this channel? If so, hi, my name is Naterz, and I make videos about topics that I am interested in. This means that none of my videos really relate, but they are usually about obscure characters, such as Donkey Kong Jr. for this video. If you are enjoying the video so far, consider subscribing. It would always encourage me to make future content. Anyway, back to the video. After his show, Junior was next animated in 1983 for a Game Boy ad where he was seen alongside Stanley the Bugman, the Mario Brothers, Popeye, Snoopy, Charlie Brown, and his father. Now, I'd like you all to keep this design of Junior in mind because I will get back to it later. In 1984, Junior would then get a redesign specifically for his brand of cereal and would be animated in the commercials for it. I personally think that this design is pretty neat and definitely unique. It makes Junior feel a lot more like a mascot, and he doesn't really look like his other designs that much. Junior would then not be animated until 1990. Kind of. There is this show out there called Captain N the Game Master. The show features many popular video game characters. Characters like Mega Man, Pit, and Simon Belmont, Link, King Hippo, and even Donkey Kong. There is a small segment where Simon Belmont is experiencing memory loss, and this scene takes place.
Ooh. Hold it a sec while I check that in my ape dictionary. Ooh-ah, here it is. Ooh. Me, Donkey Kong, you ape baby. You mean me? Your ape baby? My gosh, now I know who I am. I'm Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Mommy.
Here I am having the unrealistic dream of having Junior show up in Smash, and it turns out that he was hiding here all along.
Donkey Kong Jr.
After that monstrosity of an appearance, Junior would next be animated for a Super Mario Kart commercial. Now, I think that it is interesting because it really shows how incredibly large Junior is compared to, in this case, Peach, but other humans in general. He has definitely grown up since his original appearance. Junior would make his final animated appearance in an e-reader ad in 2002. I actually really love this ad, and I think that Junior's design is awesome. He has so much personality in such a short ad, and I think that it is incredible. So, what did we learn from all those? Well, really not much. We now know that Cranky has a brother, Simon Belmont thinks that he is Junior, and Junior is a part of your complete breakfast. I mostly showed off these appearances because I think that it is very cool history of the character. But there is one more medium that Junior has appeared in that I think is important to talk about. There have been some really neat Donkey Kong manga that have came out over the years, some even including characters that have never been seen together before, like Bluster Kong, Eddie the Mean Old Yeti, and the DK64 cast. However, Junior himself has made a total of 4 comic appearances. The first being Super Mario Donkey Kong. In this comic, Junior is working in a circus, with Pauline being his partner, and Peach being the owner of the circus. How did Junior become a part of the circus, you ask? Well, Peach just straight up stole him and made him be a part of her circus act. Shout out to GTV Japan for creating a commentary translation of this manga. I can't read the original comic since it is in a different language, so it was very helpful for making this video. I will leave their video link in the description. Soon, Donkey Kong, the original, shows up to take Junior back. However, Junior requests that Donkey Kong also takes Pauline, thinking that she is actually his mother. Donkey Kong takes Junior and Pauline back to Kong Island, where he plans to wed her. Junior then becomes the pastor to wed the two, but right before it becomes official, Mario and Luigi come in to save the day. Eventually, Pauline does agree to stay with Donkey Kong and actually does become his wife, which kind of throws off the game that just recently got announced. I don't know how that would work. It is revealed that Peach is into Junior for some reason. I don't know why. Mario and Luigi go back home and then become circus acts to replace Junior and Pauline. 13 years later, Bowser shows up to the circus with a gun and starts shooting the place up, demanding money. Peach, of course, doesn't have the money for him, but thinks that if she can go and get Pauline and Junior back to do a reunion show, it would bring in enough money. So they travel back to Kong Island and learn that Junior has actually grown up to be modern Donkey Kong. This is actually the only time that it is ever specifically stated that Junior grows up to be modern DK, and this whole manga is not considered to be canon, so it doesn't really matter anyway. Oh, and Pauline looks like this now. The other manga appearances that Junior has is a Mario Kart manga. There is no English commentary for this one, but it is really interesting. Cranky is some sort of mob boss in it and assists Junior as he races. Next, Junior has a comic appearance that actually isn't a manga, but actually comes from a Nintendo official guidebook. The comic from this book has been translated by Milo Scat, I think it's pronounced. The comic tells the story of how Mario Kart starts, and I would like to think that it is canon. On the first page, you can see many iconic Nintendo characters lining up to watch people race in the Mario circuit. I'm not familiar with all the characters, but I can spot Samus, Link, Zelda, Ness, Kirby, and even Captain Falcon. Mario then tries convincing Luigi that racing is safe, when all of a sudden Bowser appears and states that he is immortal and wants a rematch, which is new lore for Bowser, I guess. The comic then introduces the other racers: Peach, Yoshi, Koopa Troopa, Toad, and the giant Donkey Kong Jr. Mario then states that before Luigi was created, he used to bully Junior and attack him with snakes. This implies that there has been a lot of time that has passed since the original Donkey Kong Jr. game. Mario then attempts to practice the rocket start and crashes into a pipe. After this, he learns how to drift and drifts into another pipe. Right before the race begins, Mario decides to take everybody to dinner, where a Wiggler serves them. Bowser spies on them through the window and ingests oil? I don't know. Soon the race starts and Mario is immediately lapped by Bowser. In the end, however, Mario wins with Junior in second and Yoshi in third. I really like this comic's art style, and I think that it is really neat. But nothing, and I mean nothing, can prepare you for the final comic, however. This comes from the 1994 Donkey Kong guidebook. The comic itself almost looks fan-made, and has Junior and Mario walk onto a playground. They want to go and play, but the children inform them that the children are endangered, and that they cannot play on the vacant lot. So, what do? They go and shave their hair off to make them look like children. They come back, however, there are drugged-looking adults tying up the kids to sell them? This comic is insane. Soon, Donkey Kong shows up to save the day, and one of the adults pulls out a knife on Mario, only for Mario to reveal that he is actually a grown man and not an actual child. Donkey Kong then flattens them both, and Mario literally states that these guys, the children, wouldn't be endangered if they found some girls to mate with. Yeah, the kids say that they don't know what he is talking about, and the comic ends there. This adds nothing to Junior's lore, and I'm not even sure how this comic was approved. The front even says that you can laugh along with the family. Yeah, I wonder how many kids had to have the talk with their parents after reading this. Anyway, there is one other piece of media to talk about before we get to Junior's family tree. Junior appears in a Nintendo adventure book called Doors to Doom. Most of it doesn't matter, though we do find out that it takes more than 100 coconuts to bonk Junior into submission. So I guess he has a really thick head? Now we can get to what most of you are probably here for. Now, there are typically 3 theories as to who exactly Junior is. The theory that general audiences would probably think is that Donkey Kong has and always will be Donkey Kong. The original Donkey from the arcade is the same Donkey still appearing in games today. That would make the family tree look something like this. Now, the next 2 theories are the ones that are often argued about between Donkey Kong fans. The first theory was brought up in that Donkey Kong Mario manga, being that Junior growed up to be the Donkey Kong that we know presently. Meaning that the original arcade Donkey Kong, or Cranky, is his father. This theory comes from some instances where Cranky calls Donkey his son. This is also stated in the Mario movie. That would make the tree look something like this. The last theory is that Junior is actually modern Donkey Kong's father. This is based on the many times that Cranky is referred to as modern DK's grandfather. Therefore, we can infer that Junior would actually be modern Donkey Kong's father. I am here, however, to explain why it doesn't make sense that Junior grew up to turn into modern DK, and I will suggest a few different theories that I actually don't really see anybody ever suggesting. Let's take a look into Junior's character design. The youngest that we have ever seen Junior, in my opinion, would have to be in Donkey Kong 2. This is before Junior wears his leotard. After this design, we have seen his early leotard design. This could come from the original game itself, Donkey Kong 94, or the Game & Watch galleries. The oldest that we see Junior would have to be in anything relating to Super Mario Kart, as well as his design in Mario's Tennis. We know from the Super Mario Kart guidebook that there has been a decent amount of time that has passed since the original game and Super Mario Kart, making me guess that Junior would likely be a young adult, or even the same age as we see Donkey Kong in the Donkey Kong Country games. It also is pretty important to note that we have already seen what modern Donkey Kong looks like as a child, due to Yoshi's Island. We can take this look and compare it to the youngest design of Junior, and they don't really look alike. Now, I have seen a lot of people state that this really is Junior before he gets his leotard, but we have seen Junior before he gets his leotard, and like I just said, they don't really look similar, in my opinion. Now, let's also look at Junior's other designs. Here is a little thing that I have made to show some of his different designs over the years. There is one thing that all of his designs, but one, have in common, that being his eyes. He always has 2 white humps with his pupils inside them. The only design not to do this is the scrapped Mario Kart Double Dash look. Now let's look at modern and baby Donkey Kong. Notice his eyes. There are always blacks around his eyes. I think that this to me proves that Junior is a different character entirely than modern Donkey Kong. But what does that mean for the tree? Well, not much, actually. Both theories still work, and let me explain why. Modern Donkey Kong can still be Cranky Kong's grandson because Junior is a separate character as Donkey Kong's father. But what about when modern Donkey Kong is Cranky Kong's son? Well, I think, personally, that it would make sense to have Junior be modern Donkey Kong's brother. Now, that would also mean that Junior could theoretically be Diddy Kong's dad. Yes, that's right, I'd like to establish a new theory. I think that Junior could be Diddy Kong's father. We know that Diddy Kong is modern Donkey Kong's nephew, and let's look at the Junior design and Diddy Kong's design. His eyes are a lot closer to Junior's, and let's just say that Diddy's mom was a monkey. I think that Junior being an ape, being Diddy's father, and Diddy's mother being a monkey makes a lot of sense. Remember when I said to keep in mind a Junior design from earlier? That's right, it is rare, but Junior himself has even had a tail before, linking Diddy and Junior up even more. I doubt that we will ever truly know how Junior is related to the rest of the Kongs, but what I really want to point out here is that because Junior is the son of Cranky, it doesn't necessarily mean that Cranky only had one son. Modern DK and Junior could be brothers, or Junior could even be modern Donkey Kong's uncle and not his father. I'm not sure why I never see anybody actually saying this, and after research, it doesn't seem like there is anything that deconfirms everything that I just said. But what do you think? How is Junior related to the rest of the Kongs? Before I end the video, I do quickly want to talk about merchandise for Donkey Kong Jr. Most of Junior's merchandise comes from Super Mario Kart. All of his figures and whatnot come from his design there. For instance, there is this finger puppet here. I can probably bring it closer to the camera. I own this. I have this shirt that I'm wearing, which is obviously his Super Mario Kart look. But he also has a plush that is made, and I am actually lucky enough to have it in my collection. Now this guy is actually probably one of, if not my favorite item in my collection, and he looks really bad in the lighting here, but he's wonderful. He's from a line of all the other Super Mario Kart characters, and I am very happy that I own him. He was always a dream of mine to get when I was younger, so I'm very happy about that. Junior is my favorite Nintendo character, and I do think that it is neat how mysterious his character is. I doubt Nintendo will ever bring him back, but they certainly could and still have the family tree make sense. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. It always encourages me to make future content. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.